Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today is Troy Brittingham.
You're Jeff.
I am Jeff, and D is with us today.
D in the house.
We're here to talk about the first half of the first season here of X-Men 97. Let's get it. TB&J!
X-Men 97. X-Men 97.
TB&J!
TB&J.
For those of you unfamiliar, X-Men 97 is a direct continuation of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s.
So go ahead and watch season 6?
It's 3?
12 seasons of X-Men, and there's, I think, about 24 episodes a season at that point, probably something like that. And yeah, just come back and then watch the first 5 episodes of this, and then you're good.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
It's on Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus.
No.
There are 5 seasons of the original show, 76 episodes in total. It ran from October 31st, 92 to September 20th, 97. Hell of a run. Great cartoon. It came out when Troy and I were not born yet, and D, I think you were graduating college at that point. You old fuck. I'm just kidding. You're not that old.
No, don't. You don't need to pull it back.
As a middle school.
I did not watch it. Most of my X-Men knowledge is secondhand from my brother. He was really big into the X-Men growing up. I read a couple of his books he left laying around. I've read Days of Future Past, which is fucking amazing. I've played a board game called Under Siege, where you play as the different X-Men walking around the mansion.
Oh,
and
yeah.
shit. Yeah, that's on my board game shelf.
Under Siege
but
with them.
I know who they are. I don't know stories or anything like that.
Steven Seagal.
Different.
My favorite
Under
X-Men.
Siege.
Oh.
Different Under Siege, buddy.
Never mind.
But
He's a mutant.
my brother.
Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah, Steven Seagal is definitely a mutant. My brother, the jury's still out.
Okay.
So my first real foray into X-Men stories really was this show. So I jump into episode 1, and I've seen the movies. I should backtrack. I have seen the shitty Fox movies.
Some of them are pretty good.
I mean, they're all born in blood, but but yes. I mean, we did get Hugh Jackman from it.
We did. Logan was
the
a great movie.
Deadpool movies count, and they are good.
Yeah, Deadpool movies do count, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, there's 13 Fox movies.
They are.
And they are
not consistent, but
No,
some of
they
them
are
are
very
very.
There's
wildly.
a wild inconsistencies, but there's.
I think X1 was like mid, X2 was apparently great, X3 was garbage. Or
X1's
something.
pretty good. X2 is really good. X3, a lot of people hate.
It's
I
not
don't.
good.
I don't remember
not
much.
Great. It's
I
not good.
I don't hate 3 as much as most.
It's
First
pretty
class
bad.
Well, Origins is bad, and then
First
Origins
Class,
is
and then
bad.
there was the
although,
Jean Grey
although,
version.
No, First Class is good.
Although the Gambitines are disjointed and weird, the performances and how it's kind of played is not. It's just silly how the plot plays out. But the what else was good? And then when they returned for the second one, Days of Future Past, yeah, that was good.
yeah, I like Days of Future Past.
And besides a few parts of the last one, I think it was the Phoenix one,
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix, that came out in 2019.
except for like some
Saw it in theaters.
kind of like just
pre-pandemic.
except for just like the blasé nature of like some of the stuff going on in there. Like it's more behind the scenes and just like the lack of stakes because it's not ongoing. It was actually a pretty good flick. It's just impossible to care about it because it's done. But it's not bad to just watch on its own.
I think it is bad and has no stakes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, that's right.
Okay.
I will say this show immediately comes out of the gate because I basically watched up to where current at end of episode 5, basically in one shot. It was over the course of like 24 hours, spread apart. But yes, I did watch 1 through 5.
I forgot the part where
close.
we went over the review and we said we were going to like talk about your whole history with the show.
No. But this show does a whole fucking lot of just crazy ass shit that I did not expect from what I thought this was like a fucking Saturday morning cartoon. That's not it at all.
Well, it's funny. It is, but if you recall for those 90s shows, like if you watched Spider-Man or if you watched X-Men or any of that Marvel Universe kind of stuff,
Did not.
It kind of did this. It had like the first story in X-Men is and there's some context here, but like the first story they did is just like literally there's a mutant like registration like company like and they have the Sentinels. It's a Night of the Sentinels, and Jubilee is like her parents registered because they were like foster carrying her, and like they were like, oh, she's like frying stuff like the VCR, and because it's 1993.
Yeah.
And that's what sends a Sentinel after them, and then they X-Men save her, like yada yada yada. But like. It's all very political, and that was mentioned while we were watching earlier. Like it was actually fairly woke as well in so many ways because
X-Men
the president was there was a female president. It's 1993, so 92. So it's pretty forward thinking. Just like consider it that. And it passes the Bechdel test in like the first couple minutes of the show. Like it's focused on Jubilee. The first two X-Men are Rogue and Storm, just out together having conversation and like hanging out together. Like it's mainly focused on all the female X-Men before you even get Gambit in there as well. But like it ends up being it was not all action packed. It was goofy at points, like right,
sure.
But like Beast goes to jail. And Morph is killed. Like they introduce Morph and Morph is killed.
He's like the first episode too, right?
It's the first episode, and he's killed at the end of the first. I think it was like 2 parts, and like he's killed at the first half. And Beast is captured and put in jail, and then Magneto's introduced, and he tries to break him out, which makes him not be able to make bail because the judge orders it not to, and he spends like the first season in jail. So it was like a very like drama heavy, and there was like very early on it was like very cheesy. It was cheesy because it's like that's what made it like very Saturday morning cartoon. But what they were doing was and the animation was subpar. It was you wanted a little bit more from it, but it was just neat to see these things kind of play out. And I enjoyed it. I was reaching a point in age with comic books where, like, you gotta understand, it just wasn't cool to like any comics. It wasn't like acceptable behavior. It was just like, you knew that? Like, okay. Like, no one knew what I was talking about. Like yeah, like X-Men. Okay. And like, then like, seeing the X-Men cartoon, but we were like right at that. It probably like where my boys at, like 11, 12. Right, kind of where it's like you're not really watching cartoons, like more into like competitive stuff with the guys and like doing that. Like,
I definitely had a period of time when I kind of relate to in sort of late middle school, early high school type stuff is when all of the current like Star Wars cartoons started coming out, and I was like, I'm not watching these dumb cartoons or whatever, blah 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 blah. And then it's like turns out later on, I'm like, oh, it's like the best Star Wars that we have.
Right. No, exactly. And I did start rewatching some of it, and it holds my attention. Like it had some goofiness, but for all the stuff, I was like the storytelling was spot on, and even to the point where like that line. The name's Gambit, Mon Ami, remember
at the end
it,
of 5, yeah.
is his like one of his first lines in the show. When they fight, I think like Magneto or something like that, like they calls him something, and he's like, the name's Gambit, Mon Ami, remember it. And it was kind of it was like cheesy in that moment because it was just kind of like there was no stake to it at that moment. Sure. It was just like remember it, like remember it. It was just kind of cheesy and like flaunty. But like, but to bring that back and just the writing. So this was an idea, and they did this in the. I don't know what I have to go back and look, but like I feel like they did X-Men 97 in the comics like years ago.
Sure.
I believe that, yeah.
But I don't know if it's this. I don't think it's this.
No,
it's not what we're seeing right now. But they did this. I think.
Most shows that don't have like
I've got it here. X-Men Adventures, volumes 1 through 4, was a comic book spin-off of the animated series. It began after the first 3 seasons of the show, and it adapted them. And then in '96, it became Adventures of the X-Men, which contained original stories set within the same continuity with the same characters. It lasted until March '97, shortly after the show got canceled by Fox. So it kind of ran in line with the show and told different stories with the same people in the same universe.
Yeah, I feel like there was maybe something else that I'm thinking of. Or
you know what? Never mind. If I just kept reading down the fucking article. The comic book series X-Men '92 was released as one of the many tie-ins for Marvel's 2015 Secret Wars event. And it continued using the characters from the animated series. Yep. Alternate universe, House of X, Powers of X, blah 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 blah. Yep.
Wait, House of X, Powers of X. Wait,
was
that part? Is that part of the
Oh, it's coming in this comic book series. Scheduled for publication in April. Series will explore an alternate universe where the events
back up. Where did that series? Where it said it's coming back? When did it end?
It hasn't.
It's ongoing.
Yes.
Okay.
It started in 2015. It's still ongoing.
So, I'm. Now I need to look into this and see if they're. I don't even know if they're adapting this. I don't think they're adapting that.
No, I don't think.
Because they're either way. I don't want to get too far into it, but I knew that there was like this idea of doing this, and I didn't know if it got like morphed just into like this series eventually or whatever.
Morphed. I get it. I figured it out.
But I was gonna give it a shot, and with all the Marvel stuff and kind of how blasé it's been, and simple fact that the best shows of like this past year that I've watched have been animated.
Yeah, animation's really just coming swinging out of the gates in the last several years.
Invincible, Vox Machina, and this
X-Men '97
have been very, very good. What If has been very good. I like What If.
What If was good.
The stakes are kind of low in What If, but like it was enjoyable. I liked that they dropped the stuff during the winter. It was fun.
Yep.
But you know, let's start over and say Troy, Jeff.
Yep.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So thumbs up from myself personally. Troy, how you feeling about it?
Thumbs up.
That's weird. It's only got a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess we're in the minority.
If we are, I don't know. It's not a whole lot of people have been saying good things, but I think it deserves a thumbs up. Yeah.
I'll throw him a bone. I'll give him a thumbs up.
No, but
TB&J podcast.
I am not.
Have you guys heard much before? This weekend.
Genuinely, I have not. I've only heard from people that are like super deep into this kind of thing that really love like the old cartoons, namely you and a couple other of my friends that are on the older side of the millennial generation that grew up with this show. They're the only ones I've heard talking about it, honestly. Okay. I don't see it in any of my algorithms online, which is super bizarre because I watch a lot of cartoons and comic stuff.
I have heard about it, but that's only because I sometimes watch or at least watch other people watch the worst people online. Who all were complaining about how Rogue's butt is smaller now and how the show's bad.
So my initial thoughts. Thank you for asking.
D, how do you feel about it? We've only given it a blowjob review.
No worries. No, I have been. The animation has been very impressive compared to what it was in the other. In the original series, they toned down the inks, made it less blocky and kind of 90s-y and streamlined it. There's a number of, but it's still a little inconsistent or.
I feel
so it has these moments now where it has very distinctive style and anime influence in the action sequence and like swirliness and like some of these episodes that were like. The Madeline Pryor one where she's doing the illusions and it's like very and like the episode 5 obviously and the
lots of mutants.
Actually, the Madeline Pryor one was really good too. There's some really cool action.
That's the one I was going to highlight. There's an insane couple of shots in that.
The episode 5 fight kind of is at the beginning kind of reminiscent of that. Like it was a pretty intense battle, but like you were like, okay, they're getting into their groove. Here we go. So I think it was a good setup for it. And it was a great slowdown with the Mojoverse and Storm stories. The Storm story in the second episode is great.
Yeah, talk about whiplash. You sent me from a fun video game episode straight into the deaths of two of my favorite
went to Storm
characters.
first. We went to Storm first before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We went to Storm for like 5 minutes to see her not get her powers.
Forge
back.
is cool.
So what I
Forge is
could
cool.
say
We
is
like
the
Forge.
pacing was solid. Like the first episode was interesting as you got kind of reintroduced in the world, and they didn't hold your hand through it, but it wasn't all that complicated, so you were pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
You have a general understanding of who's who. Xavier's dead. Scott's in charge. Move on.
They move into this episode with Magneto taking over and being a publicity stunt and taking over the house and stuff. And that is an interesting turn. You're just kind of intrigued by the politics of it, the Game of Thrones of it all.
Yeah,
is really what it is. So they start off very much so that way.
Wait, X-Men is political?
Yeah. No, don't worry about it.
So,
No, don't worry.
but
no,
like,
actually,
and they
it's not.
have this whole thing about they're at a good place where their tensions are high, but it looks like it's going the right direction based on what Charles left behind. They gloss over that. But then you get then you get like this huge dumb show with Storm losing her powers, which is like crazy because she had some awesome lines in the first couple episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when she says like "be silent" and why should we listen to you? And she's like "be silent," something like
Yeah,
and follow my commands so you may live.
so
yeah,
and
something like that.
follow my commands. Be appreciative or something like that.
She's just so.
She's just like
awesome.
and you might live. Like she was just so boss. And even Magneto, and she had a good I forget what you call this, but when you have a heavy, when you take out a heavy kind of thing, or if a heavy kind of sings your praises.
Yeah.
So if you get like a Apocalypse being like, oh, I wouldn't mess with whoever, like that person.
Right.
You're like, whoa, shit, really? So like when he Storm, Magneto's like oh, as the only other like person next to the goddess, I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'll ask your permission. Like so, he really built it up, and she lived up to it, and they're showing off her powers and shit real early on. So that was an interesting turn, and then Madeline Pryor situation was just crazy and zany.
Yeah,
but it also did a good job of like mixing up a lot of different character development but it's slow paced and interesting, and the art was good. But like, then they have it has these blockier parts that I don't want to say blocky. Like I don't know. There's like a 2-dimensional like nature
whenever
to it. It's kind of
whenever the moment is like big and huge and they're fighting and everybody's moving around, it looks incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
If there's two people there's an episode in the first there's a scene in the first episode where it's Sunspot, Jubilee, and Beast all in a lab together.
Yeah.
And Jubilee has a scene where she they're all standing around not really moving that much, and then she blinks and it looks weird.
Yeah.
There's when they're all standing around doing nothing, that's clearly where they cut.
Yeah, it's some of it is the facial features they don't do. So what I would say in comparison is Invincible has a consistency. Here's what I would say. I don't think Invincible has reached some of the highs that this show
I'll agree with that.
has kind of hit in some of their animation. Like some of it was fucking cool when he was Gambit's imagining Rogue and Magneto together and meshing, but that was fucked up and cool looking.
The Magneto versus
really
Madeline
cool
Pryor
stuff.
is probably the best the show looks.
When
all the glass breaks.
and this last episode.
Yeah,
Magneto getting chased by the Sentinel blast is some epic. The visual storytelling throughout that episode is really spot on, and it really took maybe watching a couple times to be like, okay, it's actually really efficient how they do this. They showcase so much in that. But so
before 3 and 5, the one scene that I was pitching to everybody is in episode 1, the X-Jet explodes, and they all start falling out, and a hand grabs a Sentinel arm grabs Scott, and he just starts shooting lasers. And it's him shooting lasers, being held by the arm, and everybody's falling out of the plane, and you see where everybody's going during the crash. And it's one shot. It's before it even cuts away to what everybody else does.
Right.
And him just falling, shooting lasers in the sky. I'm just like, that's actually kind of nuts. That took a long time.
The the stages that they set. Like the set pieces that they set up for the like. It's not set pieces because it's animation, but like
Sure.
the situations that they're setting up. Akin to like, you're doing a similar scene here to like. I mean, there's plenty of free falling scenes, but like one to draw to mind like Iron Man 3. Like how do you figure this out when you have a bunch of people falling from the sky? And it's like, okay, we have this flyers. Okay, Morph can turn into something like Angel. This person can grab this person, and then a Cyclops is of course just going to fucking blast the ground until he slows down.
Sure, why not?
Like a fucking beast, because
no, Beast is the other guy.
Right. So
I can see how you got confused.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I thought it was I love Mojo. Mojo's voice actor was great.
Mm-hmm.
Mojo's voice actor was
him.
really fun. Really great. Kind of. It's got to be so hard to not do the Joker when you want to do one of these characters.
Oh yeah.
To not just bite. I would have such a hard time not doing the Joker for because you want to kind of have that. He's got that theatrical thing, and it's just. But he made it, I think, his own in that regard. I think it was pretty good. So I wanted to commend that. I can say this from the first 4 episodes, I watched this and was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe they're using like the original Rogue actress. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's fucking iconic. I love that voice. Like awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some scenes in the first 4 episodes where I'm like, that is an old woman talking, and it just doesn't sound right. Like, it just doesn't sound right. Oh, man. It was like a grab. I was like, and it was not working for me. I was like, this is kind of weird.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely got that. Even not knowing anything or knowing.
She's definitely had some of the more goofy line reads.
And Wolverine is the same actor, I think, too. And
Wolverine
he
is the
sounds
same,
a little bit older as well, but it doesn't bother as much because he's fucking
right.
Wolverine.
He's grizzled.
So, not that. Just that whole
Mr. Sinister is also the same. There's a lot of people that are the same.
Not inherently sexist. But either way, So yeah, I can say this. I am totally gonna eat all that shit because I, like many that I've seen online, have been crushed. Got punched by her final lines of
100%.
Of I can't feel you. Like sugar.
Yeah, that was,
I can't feel you. I know. Oh, like I've watched that so many times, and it nails it, and it's so good. And they red wedding the X-Men. They red wedding the X-Men by episode 5. So awesome, so cool.
Mm-hmm,
A million moments where I'm just like, that is like just the thing is that episode 5. There, I could pull out as many awesome moments in this show in episode 5 as I can for the episodes 1 through 4. I wonder if that's true, but it's pretty close.
Right.
It's pretty close. But that's not saying anything bad. I think there was cool things. There was something to enjoy in every episode.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Any other thoughts before we do a little ranking?
Really.
We can probably. I probably have something rattling around, but we can go to the rank instead.
Sure.
It'll probably come out when you rank them.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we? Okay. So is anybody's number 1 not 5?
No.
So yeah. So there's an easy gimme, right?
5 is number 1.
5 is number 1. Are we gonna go? Is Madeline Pryor? Madeline Pryor number 2?
I'm personally going 3. 3 is number 2. Madeline Pryor.
Yeah. Madeline Pryor episode is number 2.
I think
Fire
that,
Made Flesh.
Yeah, I think that fight. Actually, the setup before the fight, where everybody's seeing different demon faces,
right?
And I love Beast opening up the elevator and just seeing the big weird head.
One
and
of
just
us
being
has
like,
the wrong floor.
He's like, and it's like usually it's like that's like a quip where I.
Oh right.
That's like a quip where I kind of like roll my eyes like that's so whatever joke. For some reason it sells it so funny to me. I don't know why it is.
Yeah, that's definitely number 2 for me. Number 3.
He took the road less traveled.
I would do number 2.
I would go number 2 as well. Yeah.
For number 3, we're saying?
Yeah, third favorite is number 2,
So-
with a big battle at the UN where Magneto's on trial.
Yeah, so we're both
Storm
5-3-2.
gets shot.
I think we're gonna be fucking same on this. So number 2, yes.
Yep.
Number 2, Magneto, trial, Leech saving the Morlocks.
Yeah. And then is it 1 and then
And then it's 1 and
And
4. Which, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead.
I might
I'll
go
do a flip
4-1.
up.
Okay.
God damn it! You can. And I was gonna go 4-1.
I'll go
You
1-4.
could go
I'm
4-1.
still
You know
going
what?
1-4.
You know
So
what? You know
4
what?
was a 4. I didn't want to put super high because the Motendo episode was great. Don't get me wrong. It just didn't further a whole lot. It was more of a character development episode for Jubilee and
I
Sunspot.
enjoyed that more than I liked the Storm part. Just because I like me some Forge, and I like this whole storyline they're doing with Storm. We're gonna see that next week, I think, a return to the second part of that.
Yeah, so next week is the
I don't-
part 2 of that before we get
I don't know if
episode.
that's so. Mojo or Motendo was titled Motendo as an episode, but it had 2 stories.
Yes.
So weirdly we get
The other one's like
weirdly
Lifesaver
we
or
get
something?
there's one episode called Motendo, and then there's
Then
the
the-
next episode is going to be called Life Death Part 2. So even
Yeah,
though,
so we had Motendo / Life Death Part 1
Yeah.
as episode 4, and then episode 6 is
but they
Life
didn't,
Death Part
but they
2.
didn't market it that way. So
Yeah.
so right now you could have Life Death Part 2 as a half episode, or it's its full thing. You don't know.
Right.
So
And 7's a standalone, and then 8, 9, and 10 are combined. As
but I
parts
could
1,
I
2,
could
and
see them
3.
doing half of Life, the other half of Life Death, and then the other half being like the fallout.
Oh, for sure. It could be.
Because that's what they might want to not show at that stage. But so yeah, that seems like the best ranking. I mean, because of the animation of the Madeline Pryor episode, that's what really puts it above. If anything else, I would say the politics of episode 2 really put that kind of above. But yeah, it was the other ones were just a little slow. So but episode 5 is just fucking there's so much in it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of characters, a lot of introductions, a lot of moments. I was like, how long is that episode?
It's 37 minutes. I don't know if that
It's a
includes intro and credits though. That's what it said.
Still,
on the thing.
that's a good. It's that's not. It's 2 Saturday morning cartoons.
Sure.
Almost, more or less.
Yeah, 22 minutes with commercials.
Yeah, so that's an oversized stuffed episode, but
Yeah.
it's they did a lot, and yeah,
I would
was
love-
watching that episode, just being like, this is. I was watching it. I remember my boy in the morning before we went to school. Was that off that day, and we're watching it, and literally it starts up, and he's got to run. He's got to go. He's got to go catch the bus, and I'm like, it sucks. It's 7 minutes left. and I should not. I don't know. He's like, don't. He's like, all right, to watch. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. He's like, yeah. Just remember, I know what time, where it is. I'm like, yeah. So I start watching the end of this. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe he had to leave for this. It sucks. And he got home. He was like, let's watch it. And he was just like, what the?
Mm-hmm.
So boss. Yeah. So I mean, that's I mean the rankings. Okay. So let's do first half. All right. Oh, little bit of speculation before we do this.
Sure.
What do we think? What's our spec? What's our thoughts here?
So, if
What do
memory
you think?
serves, I do remember Storm losing her powers, and then she does get them back with the help of Forge. And she, most of what's going on with her and Forge right now is pretty beat for beat what happened in the original story.
Mhm.
I don't know why I know that, but for some reason I do have that
As the
memory.
person with the least amount of X-Men knowledge.
Exactly,
So-
right? I must have picked up an issue my brother left laying around somewhere, and I read that particular bit.
So this is a fun portion of it. I mean, in the comics, you got to understand that this is immediately. I don't say exactly immediately, but pretty close to right prior to the introduction to Gambit. Probably 1989.
Okay.
Right before the 1990-91 or whatever he came out. And so sort of on this journey of losing her powers, not having powers for a while, Then she gets like de-aged with the rest of the X-Men and become the X-Babies. And then
I'm sorry, what?
It's a whole storyline. They become X-Babies. They become like kind of cartoony, like younger versions of themselves,
Like the Muppet Babies.
kind of.
Oh,
Kinda.
boy.
It's a weird, like, I forget. I don't know. I didn't really read it. But but like she gets, everyone gets re-aged back up to normal, but she gets kind of like midway through or something like that. So she kind of remains like a more or less preteen, like she's like 12 years old.
Okay.
And and her powers are back, but they're like she's 12, so she can't control them really well. She's like really young at this, and like kind of much more helpless, but she's still herself.
Sure.
Right.
One of the strongest
of
X-Men on the
but she doesn't have. But she just her powers are just harder. She
Right.
just the connection is there, and that's when she meets Gambit, and Gambit is somewhat protective of her at that time because she's kind of incompetent with her powers and so that's how they actually get brought in. But that whole storyline is kaput. They and interestingly now, at the back when the Forge Storm stuff happened, they had Forge was supposed to be like her love of her life, right? Even though now in the comics she's like married to Black Panther.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's like the Queen of Wakanda.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Good for you, Storm.
Yeah. So
That's
It's a
awesome.
power couple.
No, but Storm's definitely getting her powers back. Madeline Pryor and Gambit might be dead. Madeline Pryor and Magneto are definitely not dead.
Interesting.
I definitely think they're not dead. I couldn't tell you why, but I definitely don't think Magneto and Jean Grey 2 are dead.
I think they are. Okay, so let me throw this out there. I think they are dead.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly,
one
you know more
thing
than
you
I do.
may not have caught, I did see it this time, and it was noticeable enough if you happen to be looking. But right before the dance, at the start of the party, they cut to the scene outside, a lot of celebration,
The fireworks.
big skylight. Right before the fireworks, maybe you saw one, but the Watcher was there.
The Watcher.
The Watcher's a silhouette of the Watcher is.
Oh, that's
Right
what's
there.
in the you pointed at the screen at one point, and I
Mhm.
knew there was a thing there.
It's the Watcher.
Interesting.
So, drawn a little bit differently than What If, but very clearly the Watcher. And
The Watcher is that guy from What If, right?
Yep. So he
Watu.
only views like pivotal events. So like pivotal, especially in the sense of like turning events, like especially events that like change the course of history, and create alternate universes. Usually, those moments and those outcomes are what he usually watches, right?
Huh.
So he watches like all the different multiverses, right?
I feel like Magneto's got to be dead, in my opinion.
So what I'm thinking is, you may forget it with all the pandemonium, but like Cable comes in,
Yep,
and says we have to get out. I'm sorry, he's coming, and then says, "I'm so sorry, Mom," which could be read as very simply as just a. So sorry this is happening. Or,
couldn't save you.
I couldn't save you. He's obviously back here to do something, right? Like he's to try to save them, but he messes up or can't. Why he comes to this point way too early. My guess is that we are going to see a Cable's point of view of this. I'm wondering if you're going to get like a Groundhog Day situation.
where the next like 3 episodes
It's
is
just
this
him
episode.
trying to get there to prevent this, or trying to get there at the right time. So we might see that play out on his side. I was too late. We got to go further. We got to do this. I got to do this. It's something like that.
I've always wondered where that
And
ends
then-
when you have time
and-
travel powers.
And then I am wondering if, like, well, Sinister made this happen, right? Sinister makes the baby, right? What if this is what he wanted? What if making him go to the future become Cable? Maybe Cable fucks up. I'm thinking this is like Bastion or one Sentinels,
Okay.
something like that. Maybe Apocalypse. I don't know, but it's whatever it is it's going to be. That's the thing is that like
when
the
he said
irony,
he's coming,
the irony is that he's just like, I'm so sorry. And the irony is kind of like that, like, oh, you made it, like we saved you by doing this, and like it's like, no, this is what Sinister wanted all along. Like that's I'm thinking that like there's because Sinister's fucked up, and I don't think he's too he's beaten too easily, just runs away, he always gets away, like he's the one where I'm just like, you don't understand. I have always loved Sinister, and I don't think the cartoon ever did him full justice, but he is like impossible to kill, fucking brutal. I think he's a great villain, but I don't think he's ever been done total justice. The way they're writing this, I'm just like, I think they might. I think they're gonna make him really dark, and I think it's gonna be like there's some twist shit here that like Cable is the whole like, oh, you guys saving your son that I made for you is the whole reason that this happened in the first place. Like it's gonna be something like that. It's gonna be dark.
Holy shit!
That's my guess. That's where I'm thinking.
Right. The way to stop this is
also
to go back in
Captain
time and not have a kid.
Also, Captain America's coming.
You really?
They have a preview shot, and Captain America's shield is in it, and he has already made an appearance in the X-Men cartoon. He and Wolverine have a history.
Yeah, that's true. That's
There's
true.
a couple characters that show up from
and
the Marvel
Spidey,
universe.
I think, but then there was
maybe.
crossover with the Spider-Man animated show. I'd be interested in seeing that. I do know one thing. Apparently, a week before the show premiered, the showrunner was fired. He had just finished writing season 2, and he got canned by Marvel.
So here's the situation. He, as I got some Reddit context here, that some people that explained it succinctly, it seemed, and I don't know much of any detail, but he's done some other things. They're pretty good. There's been words that he's difficult to work with, kind of verbally abusive type of guy. But officially, you'll just see that he had a OnlyFans, which is against like a bunch of companies like morality clauses, so they like technicality him out of his but like the speculation that he's real difficult to work with.
Right, that was just an excuse and not the reason kind of thing.
So, but like
the reason I brought it up though was because he said someone was tweeting, a couple reviewers were tweeting about episode 5, and he replied to one of them that episodes 8 through 10 are actually the big one. This was just our warm up. You ain't seen nothing yet.
That's what I've been hearing.
What the fuck, bro?
Yeah, episode 8 or something is called E is for Extinction, which is what at least that bug spider is. E is for Extinction is that thing going to Genosha. In the comics, Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely did New X-Men, and they had Cassandra Nova, Professor X's evil twin.
Okay.
The brand new villain at the time, like just come out, and they revived these wild sentinels that were left from a master mold that was in the Amazon or some shit, and got control of them and sent it to Genosha. And they don't show you any of that you just saw.
Mm-hmm.
They just show you a wide shot of the island of Genosha in like 4 panels, like from top to bottom, like widescreen panels, like, and it just has it's that shot of the bug like just burning it, like with
right.
Which is such a cool looking effect because you know what it is, it dropping a bunch of sentinels and them blasting and fucking shit up and it fucking shit up. But it just looks like it's just like a fucking firefly like burning its, like just burning the fucking ground. Really. So it's a really cool looking effect. And it just looks like that as it's destroying, but it just has a population count of Genosha and it's like 116,860,000. Like, to like 783. Like it just goes down, and you're just like, what the fuck? So just like, and then the only one left or something like that was like Emma Frost, whose secondary mutation triggered, and that's when she got the diamond skin.
Jeez.
And then how long ago was that then?
That was like 2004 or 1, 3.
Did she not have a diamond skin before that?
No, she didn't have it all through the night. She was only a telepath.
Interesting.
For the longest time.
I feel like I always expected. I don't know why I never knew that she didn't have diamond skin all the way through.
No, there's
I'm a fake fan.
A lot of people were not. I definitely Frank Quitely's X-Men was not, or Frank Quitely, Grant Morrison's X-Men was not that new X-Men storyline was not my favorite. It has a fucking dope moment in it with Magneto that is like pretty epic if you've been following it this entire time. It took me really by surprise, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, this really did pay off. And then it looked like it was going to get really cool. They did like a Days of Future Past kind of future storyline called something else, and it was like all these future versions of them, and it looked fucking awesome, but it wasn't that coherent of a story. But like, there's a bunch of little things that are now the norm. Putting Emma and Scott together, is them. Like, that is the norm now. Putting the Genosha stuff and having any type of kind of open, like any semblance, which is even the movies. So I'm wondering if they did know, they coincided with the movies, I think. This changeover when they came out with the movies, because that's where they gave them the leather jackets as their uniforms.
When they gave who leather? Oh, the just
X-Men.
all of them.
So I think when they made the movies in 2000, they came out with this X-Men.
Okay,
and that's when it started. But the thing was that they didn't have they secondary mutations was brand new then. They brought in Emma Frost to have that. They had Cassandra Nova was introduced. I know what I was gonna say. The just the whole world being there being a lot of mutants, like them not being this kind of like growing breed that's like hunted to death. Like they were very much so like in that like Genosha, like that like getting a UN thing, like the school was packed with students, like it was a school. I think even in the first movie, seeing any students at the school besides the core X-Men was like, oh, that's like that's like a new thing, like to see it. So, but like, so it was always like that was that their whole run really changed a lot of kind of elements of the X-Men's core, but which is now I think core grounding. Even though a lot of people are torn about like how they presented it, because it is a very different X-Men.
Interesting. I'm learning a lot about this whole fucking group of people that I never bothered to read a book about.
They're some of the best characters in comic books.
You've always gone to bat for them, Troy, but then every time I see them brought up on the internet, it's always like, I love them so much. Why does everyone that own them hate them so much? They seem to just be like a great cast that gets mismanaged by people.
This is the thing, is that the X-Men aren't Wolverine.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, is like Wolverine is a cool character and he is a big part of the X-Men, and they have great stories with Wolverine in it, but the X-Men are the X-Men, and there's a lot of different stories.
Yeah.
It's the interaction of these characters that really makes it.
I kind of, at the time, I hated that I liked the Days of Future Past movie so much, because I was like, no, it shouldn't be Wolverine, it should be Kitty Pryde. And then I watched it, I was like, fuck, it's pretty good though. Damn it, maybe it is Wolverine. Damn it.
So what was other interesting about this final episode we saw is like, I am a huge like lifelong Gambit fan. Gambit is like more or less the reason I even got into X-Men. I saw this character with this fucking just. To me, it's still the fucking coolest design for a character that I've ever seen. Like,
I feel like if Wolverine wasn't the guy that caught on, it would have been Gambit.
Interestingly enough, one of the first X-Men comics I've ever read, it may be, is like Uncanny 271 or something like that. I forget. It has like 6 different artists, like doing like 2 pages, like 3 or 4 pages at a time, just mixing it. It was all these different art styles, and it was like right after some shit happened, and all of the different mutant teams, X Factor, the New Mutants, X-Men, they were all at that mansion, and they were all kind of like interacting, and they were in downtime. It was just kind of them having their little squabbles and like this. And there's some. I was just like, what the fuck is? Like, there's so much story. It was so intriguing. I was like, what are these? The designs were so neat. But it is Jubilee is in the danger room control room, and Wolverine and Gambit are sparring.
Mm-hmm.
And they have only recently met, And I don't know any. I've heard of Wolverine. I've seen this cool character Wolverine, but I never was like super into Wolverine. Like at that point, like I'd seen this character and people were like, "Oh yeah, Wolverine," but I was like, "Oh, he's fine, I guess." It's kind of I don't know. And then so I kind of had that like bro hate almost, like whatever this guy, whatever.
Sure.
Not that big. And then the whole story.
I thought you'd have some solidarity because he's short.
Yeah, right. You think?
Yeah, you'd
but
be like,
oh,
finally.
That's not. No.
That guy can also be short and angry.
But
oh
what
man,
I loved was
I'm short and angry.
What I loved
Harry.
was the dashing Remy LeBeau, who was only known as Gambit at the time, and he is fighting him, and then in the middle of it, Lady Deathstrike jumps out and fights him, and then Wolverine gets sidetracked thinking about his memories and how tortured his past is, and like Jubilee's like, who the fuck turned on the Lady Deathstrike scenario? And then you just see like a flash of Gambit, like he had clearly snuck in and changed the thing to fuck with him, and then he like swats him down with his bow staff, puts his bow staff at his neck, and is like, bang, you dead, and like takes him out. And
wow.
and the whole thing was like, there was a big storyline at that point. This is before he became OP, impossible to kill. He was just a fast healer.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. If he took damage, he would be out. Like, if he took a stab to the stomach, like, he'd have to be in infirmary. He would heal, but he's
would take
out.
a while.
Yeah, he was always meant to be sort of a glass cannon. You have like a Colossus or something as like a tank.
Yeah, so he was there but like so and the whole thing at this point in the storyline was that he was he was aging and his powers were getting slower, and he was just slower. He wasn't what he used to be, and that was how Chris Claremont had wanted to take the character. Like, he wanted to like
see the Logan film 2017.
Right, right, exactly. He wanted to take him that direction immediately, but they didn't. So that was kind of where it was going. I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, Gambit's my boy. Like, since that moment, I was like, this character's fucking great. He looks so fucking cool. But like, people say he's like a 90s, like you look at him, he's like an amalgam of 90s like cliches, and I'm like, kind of like he kind of started most of them. The trench coat is all him.
Admittedly, I did at one point in my life have a big Gambit hatred. I thought he was too fake cool. I've come around on him since.
Okay.
In the last few years.
He's a neat character. I don't, he's all over the place at points, but he has some cool moments, and I've always loved. I mean, nothing beats when I introduced. Because right after that, you get the new X-Men book with Jim Lee drawing it.
Yep. And
you get the classic thing that they recreated here in the first couple of episodes, which is when they're playing basketball, and Remy charges the ball, and they're playing. It's Jubilee and Remy against Wolverine and Rogue, and he's flirting with Rogue, and I'm like, he is so fucking sly. Like, he's so fucking cool. Like, he's just like, he was just super aggro, and like that was the Han Solo mentality. That was like the cool factor, and he just had that look and that coolness that I wanted to like emulate. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's awesome, cool.
I mean, I'm also just a weird wet blanket who's anti-cool characters for some reason.
Right.
As somebody who likes Captain America and Superman and Colossus and everybody who's the lame Boy Scout guy.
And then what ended up happening to me is that like I kind of left Gambit behind for Grifter when Jim Lee created basically just an amalgam of Gambit and Wolverine. In a perfect combination, and Jean Grey somehow. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm about good on this. Do you guys want to do a little rating here?
We can. We have the new D system.
The new D system.
How do you feel about it, Troy?
Is saying,
let's give it a test drive.
We're gonna give it a 1 through 10. You are allowed to do any decimal pointing that you want.
I am gonna go
on the first 5 episodes. As a whole.
I am gonna go 9. X-Men are my favorite superhero group of all time. I think that I went into this being somebody who has seen episodes of the show, didn't really have like super nostalgic attachment to it, but I've seen it, and obviously the theme song is incredible. And and went into this being like, is this going to be sort of like a neat Disney Plus little experiment that has like a season or two and then kind of does whatever? And is it going to try to lean too much into looking like the old thing, and it looks kind of cheesy and dumb? And sometimes it is cheesy and dumb, but it's actually to its benefit. I think episode 4, both those storylines being sort of 15-minute things, and I think one of the reasons you and me, Jeff, are not super big on Motendo as much as the other ones, at least, and we both liked it.
Oh no, I loved Motendo.
No, we both liked it, but
I got so engrossed in the dramatic story happening that when they did a fun episode, I was like, oh, this is fun. I like this.
Yeah,
Can we go back to the drama stuff?
Yeah, we're both anti-fun. We both don't like fun.
Oh yeah, fuck fun.
Yeah. That we liked it when everybody died.
Yeah,
and it was sad.
Sure. Yeah.
But it does have moments in there where it was just like, it's like a video game episode by like people who are clearly older people in a thing who don't play video games. But they did. That is like a real X-Men game, like a real X-Men beat 'em up game that they used in that.
I've seen it at like
that's
before.
that's the first X. That's the X-Men arcade.
I've
game.
played
and
that before.
That was fantastic. Actually, Jim Lee did the one of the most appealing side art of a machine. The actual machine would have Jim Lee's X-Men drawings on there. It was like everybody looks so fucking awesome when he draws them, and that was one of the big appeals of that whole game. That was a lot of people's introduction to X-Men.
I really
the cartoon.
I really want to see some more. I just maybe it's just recency bias because I just finished up rewatching Justice League Unlimited, so I kind of want to see like as many X-Men get episodes as possible. But it makes sense that right now it's still like a core group. I just have a recency bias where I want to see, let's do a Nightcrawler episode or a Dazzler episode. Which would derail it, and I understand that, which is why I'm not a writer.
Because and it's different. It's going to be different because they, part of the animation problems with that show is that they were doing 24 of them.
Yes,
and you're going to get let's bring in this character because you're fucking running.
Yeah, let's do a Stargirl episode. And
so you do have a ton to work with, but at the same time, you kind of don't want that. You want
right. Then you don't have as much of a story going on in 10.
Right, and now you don't have those episode 5s.
Yeah.
So
that'll be season
9
3 or something.
9.
I'm gonna say 9 even. There's also in the episodes that I like, there's animation stuff that I'm like, it looks a little goofy, and sometimes
some pacing.
Yeah,
and some voice acting.
But for what this was, I think it's way better than I thought it could have been, and it was the perfect version of this.
Yeah, I think so. Jeffrey,
I'm gonna give it a 9.3.
0.3.
I was allowed to use points. I'm gonna use them,
but only 3 of them.
Yeah. It's again. So far, this show is basically flawless. I'm really drawn into this. I'm very curious to see what this payoff is with this 3-part finale that's coming in May. I can't wait to finish it. This is pretty fucking dope. We went right from Fallout to X-Men 97. We just keep picking winners. Not like when we watched Madam Web.
Well, we made it through the Decembers and the
Januaries and Februaries.
Yeah. Thank you.
Our Madam Webs and our beekeepers.
Yeah. Night swims.
Night swim. Fuck. D, how you feeling?
So how I'm gonna, be stingy on all of this is that I'm gonna give it an 8.9.
Ooh, okay.
8.9.
I was kind of nonplussed throughout the most of episode 5 until the attack happens. In the end, you get all these cool game moments. I was not digging the whole storyline. I was, with Rogue and stuff. I thought it was a little ham-fisted and a little kind of like, okay, so you just pretended that it didn't happen. That's how you're going to explain that Rogue and many never talked about this. You're going to ignore the huge age difference and shit. Like,
sure.
All right, fine. Like, all right. So, but it was, there was a lot of like set pieces being moved, and it was like, okay, that's going to happen when you have to pick up stuff like that. There's also the risk that they completely erase all of this through time travel, which I would be surprised with, because I think the way they're treating this, it seems, and I hope, is that they don't give a fuck. They have a ton of X-Men to play with, and they killed off a character that they purposely made very cool, amplifying every cool aspect that you can give the character in this thing, making them addressing probably the biggest complaint of him, which is his like kind of demeanor towards women and Rogue in general, like where it's kind of like he's the card, the scoundrel,
right,
kind of thing, and they play him getting friend zoned, like so they kind of do that, yet he still does heroic, and then give him a heroic sacrifice, and it's like, fuck, you really did. So the way it lined up and the way that they made it count makes me believe that like they want that to stick, and there's just not a lot of others like with the sandbox that they seem to be wanting to play with, which is like X-Men stories that you don't expect. They're not doing, as far as we can tell, the Phoenix. They're doing fucking Madeline Pryor, one of the more like weird kind of things, which is, by the way, having her not be an evil person and having her just be another Jean Grey that's out there, like complicated like this, because she's Jean Grey and she probably want to be a hero, like is crazy, is like a way more interesting storyline to have. So they're twisting, they're doing turnarounds on it.
Jeff didn't believe me when I said the character's name was Goblin Queen.
Yeah.
He's like, there's no shot.
Also, I thought what they did in X-Men 97 was like, oh, they're pretty horny for Goblin Queen, huh? I did a quick Google search and really wish I didn't. Oh my God, the internet's very, very thirsty for Goblin Queen.
Well,
oh my gosh.
I mean, it's like it's your evil Jean Grey. It's Wanda. It's another version of an evil Jean Grey, which is like a Dark Phoenix. It's just I don't know. Whatever. I believe they were dead. I don't know. This is the other thing. They killed like Sebastian Shaw, Callisto. That's the part where I'm like, oh, that's gonna be. Like, those are characters I would think you. I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe they're not dead.
I could. Well, this is what I actually see. I actually think that you can all the Morlocks that were with Magneto and Magneto, you can easily retcon their deaths so that they're just not dead. You don't see a body. They can be teleported out of there. The Sentinel seems to think that like they are eliminated. Okay, well they did their full blast. There's no more life reading. Cool, they're eliminated. Like that's as far as it's concerned, they're dead. So it doesn't know if they teleport out at the last second. You could do a lot of things with it. Plenty of teleporters out there. I'm sure one came in. That's easy enough to retcon. So then I think you save those characters. Shaw, there's just a couple of like deaths there that are like, I guess you don't need Shaw. You can probably do whatever you're doing with him with other characters.
A lot of villains.
There's another thing I was wondering about. I did read one description of an episode. Now, this description, by the way, had nothing to do with the ending. So, like, take that for what it is. But another episode involves Mastermind. And he's an illusionist. And he's actually the one that sets off Jean Grey to be Dark Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole other story. I'm wondering if you could see that.
Maybe. There's a lot of directions.
That actually makes sense. That actually, they might read. They have not. I don't think they did that in the original. There's the seminal moment of Wolverine in the X-Men comics, in the Uncanny X-Men comics, was against the Hellfire Club. And what I mean by it is like the Hellfire Club has them over there. They take all of the X-Men are out. They take them all out. And the only one they don't get is Wolverine. He crashes down to the sewers, and they lose him. And the last shot is just like him popping his claws and saying, "All right, now it's my turn." And it's in hindsight, it's like one of the. It's very tame, but like apparently at the time, it was just like the coolest fucking thing. Because you were like, "No, he's gonna like." They couldn't get Wolverine. He's coming fucking back and get him. And it ended up being a really cool storyline. But like. I can see them doing that because that a lot is about Mastermind taking control of Gene and making a bunch of. So I could see with Shaw dead, they need another king. They could ask. I could see them turn to Scott. I could see them kind of twisting some of those storylines together to do that. Bringing Wolverine back to the fold with that. I can see them do a lot of things. Goblin Queen is part of that. I don't know if they showed her dead though. I feel like they showed her dead.
I don't remember if she was shown dead.
Madeline Pryor was shown.
She was shown dead.
She was shown next to Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She
Yeah. No, you're right.
They're just lining up bodies, and I'm just like, oh, all those people are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they're as dead as Gambit, as far as like the canon of this goes. Which that was the only thing that leads me to believe they might retcon the hell out of it.
Yeah. I hope they don't. I can see a world where they do, and I'll get over it.
Yeah, I don't want them to. They don't. There's a lot of people that are dead, but it's not enough. It's not Infinity Gauntlet. Or it's not Infinity War, you know?
Yeah, there's still an X-Men universe out in this.
It's some notable deaths. Yes, that's cool. The other thing was that they've never done a Gambit dies storyline.
Mm.
There's never been that thing. This to me is kind of their equivalent to that old Days of Future Past, like Wolverine gets blown away by a Sentinel.
Right, the fastball special gone wrong.
I guess so. Yeah,
I remember
just
that.
Gets vaporized by it. And he's just a skeleton, and back when that killed him.
Yeah, now he just grows skin.
Just grows back.
Now he'd be fine.
Yeah, he'd be totally fine.
Brain is there, it just grows back. Just any cell.
Just grow a new body, bro.
Takes a couple seconds.
Yeah, it'll be fine. No, I'm very excited to see where this goes, especially the 3-part finale. Tolerance is Extinction, part 1, 2, and 3.
So it's 8, 9, and 10?
Yes.
And those are the last episodes of the season?
6 is Life, Death, Part 2. 7 is called Bright Eyes. And then 8, 9, and 10 are Tolerance is Extinction, Part 1, and Part 2, and Part 3.
Yeah, I'm real worried for episode 8. I don't know what's going to happen.
Another thing we were talking about was the X-Men being not Wolverine.
Did you say E is for Extinction?
It's no, it's
what
Tolerance is Extinction.
Tolerance is Extinction. Okay.
Yep.
But I was going to say we talked about how the X-Men is not just Wolverine. There is no Wolverine episode yet. Like there's not like a this is the Wolverine episode.
We might get one soon. Seeing as
I
Gene
think
and
you're
Wolverine
gonna get
seem
it.
to be
No,
establishing
we
a
are
relationship.
going
You're
to.
gonna get it.
But I'm saying they're trying their best to be like, nah, he was not always the guy.
Yeah.
We're giving everybody a spotlight.
All right. That's it for me. Troy?
I think I'm
That's
good.
it,
Perfect.
mon amis.
So that is it for X-Men 97 Part 1. Tune in for Part 2. We'll probably do all 5 episodes.
Tune in 5 weeks from now.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
Come
Tune in for
back,
X-Men
mon
97
amis.
Part 2. Troy, let's hope we get another fucking banger TV show to review soon.
Yeah, we still need to finish Invincible at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, we do. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I believe in us.
Listen, a lot of stuff has come out all at once, and
Yeah.
it's finally good.
The boys are coming soon.
Yeah.
Couple weeks.
A lot of
2
shit. A
months,
lot of
2
shit.
months. Gonna get back to our old schedule. We're gonna start doing steroids.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna fucking pump iron.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah,
we're
man.
gonna
We're gonna get
start.
fucking swole.
We were saying in the last episode, toxic alpha male podcast.
Life don't get much better than this.
Mm.